During the time you were involved in dogfighting, watching the animals hurt and suffering and being killed, why don't you think you had a feeling of empathy and for those dogs at that time?
Uh, I just out of ignorance, pure ignorance, I didn't have any empathy for the animals. I grew up thinking that it was the right thing to do based on the culture that I lived in. I understand now that you can't let the environment you live in shape and mold you as an individual or your train of thought. And in so many ways, I was one of the guys who got hurt by it. Now, it's a lot of guys out in society who are hurt in other ways, and other forms of violence, whether it's drugs, gang violence, gun violence. I was just one of the ones who got affected by the dog fighting, and it took for me to go through what I went through so that I can help masses of kids around the world, and hopefully they'll look and learn from the mistakes that I made and won't make that mistake in committing dog fight, animal cruelty, any other form of violence.
I wanted to say a quick word about that. There's been a lot of work done into the thinking behind organized animal fighting. I think at some level, and again, Mike speaks for himself, and I'm unable to know what was in his head when he was involved. And in the time that we've spoken, I think Mike still struggles with some of these questions as well. But I think we see with animal cruelty that at some point people get desensitized to the suffering of animals, and there becomes a group mentality that exists. And we have an incredible ability to rationalize our conduct. We can think that these dogs were fighting, because they want to. That's what cockfighters, say. There are all sorts of rationalizations we bring to all forms of animal cruelty, whether it's killing seals or factory farming or lots of other practices. Dogfighting is not the only practice of animal cruelty in this country. A lot of this cruelty becomes normalized. And in certain communities, some of this has become normalized, which is precisely why we're talking to kids in urban settings to try to pull them out of that.